Are you ready?
I was born ready.
What's up, everybody? Welcome on into episode 34 of the Stock Guy and Alex Show, the podcast covering topics around the world, business news, markets, money, and sports. When people talk about it, Stocky and I talk about it. This show can be watched and listened and viewed on YouTube and Spotify, guys. Go subscribe and go download, watch on YouTube, listen on Spotify, whatever. You're hanging on the line at Chipotle, you're waiting for your burrito. Load up Spotify. You can keep listening to this podcast there. Guys, thank you all for being here and coming and hanging out. It's been a second. What's up, dude?
Wow.
It's been a second. We had a little bit of a technical mishap. We've recorded an entire episode with Smexy last week, and something happened where the file got corrupted. So it's gone, and here we are. Episode 34 is without Sam. She's gonna be back for episode 35 though. So
I had to pump something out because we just can't have too big of a gap here.
Too big of a gap. It's been a few weeks. August was also crazy for me because that was the first month for my kid being here, so schedule was also kind of crazy. Which he just got his vaccines this morning.
Oh God!
Like we just went and got all the I don't know, the meningitis or Hep B the second time and all these different things. And bro, like he's been such a good kid, not crying, so chill. But when he got stuck with that needle, man, like bloody murder. And it was like heartbreaking. Me and his mom were just like, damn, dude, this sucks. Obviously it's good for him, but it's like crazy.
At least you didn't get called. At least the nurses didn't think you were an anti-vaxxer like me.
That's because you told them you didn't want the first dose of that.
I just told him I didn't want the one when she was just born because it's COVID. We're not going to meet anybody. There's nobody else. And I'm just like, hey, do I need to have this? Like, is she going to have another one in 3 weeks? Yes. So is it just is it going to wear off? Yes. So then you need another one. So then she's not going to be out sharing needles with her babies in the parking lot.
No,
it's fine.
you're right on that. But like, is it not like the hepatitis B vaccine? You don't need like both for it to work. It's like you need the second.
No, like they give you the initial one because of like breastfeeding and other shit in case somebody has it or your family member, they get in contact with it, and then they come back for another one as their body's developing, whatever. And I just asked her, I said, is it whatever? And I'm like, we both don't have hepatitis B. We've both been tested for it, and she's not sharing needles, and she's not going to meet anybody. It's fine. Let her breathe for a minute.
Yeah, I remember that.
Apparently that makes me. But you know what's crazy? And this is something I talked about on stream today, and this is so fucking controversial, but I fucking love being controversial in like the most innocent sounding way. Like, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. But let me tell you something.
Like playing the dumbass.
Exactly, but in a way that you're like the informed dumbass. But I was actually bringing up a real point today, and that was how many people who a year ago questioned certain things about COVID were laughed off, called conspiracy theorists, shunned out of public, and turned out they were right or that they weren't wrong, right? Like there was a time when people were like, hey, I'm looking to wait to get the vaccine because, it's brand new, it's been pushed out, we haven't tested it, we don't know the effects on it. And those people were shunned, right? Okay, maybe I get that. But then the people who were like, they're like, you got to get vaccinated because that way you don't spread it to anybody else and you don't get COVID. And they're like, no, it doesn't stop you from getting it, and it doesn't stop you from spreading it. Oh, you damn Nazi Trump MAGA Lord, dumbass, anti-vaccine, where I fucking die. I hope you die in a fire, you fucking piece
Everything
of shit.
got so political, man. Everything just got so damn political.
And then the Aaron Rodgers thing happened, and the same thing happened with him. And then like they called him a bunch of stuff. I'm not like supporting or not supporting regardless, but like I was listening to the Joe Rogan part. I don't listen to a lot of Joe Rogan, but I was like, I want to hear Aaron Rodgers talk because it was a big controversy, and I was like, I'm interested to hear his side of it. Yeah. And he was even talking about it where he's like, I did catch COVID from somebody who was vaccinated on the team, and they're like, you're a conspiracy theorist, it doesn't spread or something like that, and like it turned out it does. And so like there's all this stuff. And so now TwitchCon, we didn't talk about this last podcast, did we?
No, we didn't.
Twitch bending the fucking knee. So for those who are unaware, TwitchCon in Amsterdam, I had to get boosted right before I went because I had to enter the country that way. But I went there, I had a good time and everything. Glad I went, came back. A lot of people ended up getting COVID because obviously you're in closed areas and there's, people can spread things, stuff like that. A lot of people got COVID from it, whatever. It happens now. I mean, here's the thing. COVID is here to stay, right? Like you can't just stop for the rest of our lives because COVID, it's just like it's the flu, right? After the Spanish flu in 1917, a lot of people died. They got a vaccine. Everybody kind of herd immunity. It moved on. And now we have the flu and nobody even thinks of it. And it'll be like that with COVID in 5 or 10 years. But here's the thing. they were like, all right, we're going to stick with the local laws. The local laws in California are you're not required to have a vaccine, and or they want you to have a vaccine, but you're not required to be masked up to go into this. And if you feel like you're immunocompromised, you shouldn't be there anyways. But if you want to go, wear a mask, right? And everybody lost their shit online. Everybody's like, oh my God, you don't care about immunocompromised people. And I'm thinking to myself, the fuck? Yeah, wearing a mask doesn't stop the spread. Having a vaccine doesn't stop the spread. If you're immunocompromised, you probably shouldn't be going to a fucking convention anyways, if you're that bad off. But it's not going to stop. Having everybody wear a little paper mask can prevent a little bit, but it's not going to stop the spread.
But also, you said Twitch bent the knee, right?
Okay, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, right? So there's all this outrage, and I stayed off of it, and I'm like, you know what? Listen, if you don't want to go or you want to wear a mask, right? Just wear a mask. It's cool. I'm totally cool with it. I'm not anti-mask. I'm double vaccinated and boosted. I'm totally cool with it. But they're losing their shit over this, right? And there's outrage, and there's outrage, and there's outrage. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I even reach out to my AM, and I'm like, hey, they're not going to change this, right? And they're like, nah. Then what's crazy is the CDC comes out a week later, a couple days later, and says, hey, we're lowering what you what you need to have, the what do you call them, the restrictions and of what you don't need to be 6 feet. If you're within people, you don't have to quarantine. You
within
know, you
people.
Decide this.
If you're having a good night and you end up within someone.
Yeah. Okay. But enough monkeypox. But yeah, so the thing is, it's like the CDC actually lowers the guidelines for COVID, protocols. And then the next day, Twitch comes out and reverses their decision and says everyone has to be vaccinated and wear a mask. And you want to know why this is so fucking hilarious? Remember how I always say, if you ever do anything wrong online, right? If you're, I'm not talking about like something super bad, like you commit genocide or you're like a racist or something, but like if you do something bad,
hard to commit genocide online.
Or no, if they find out on and you're getting shit online for it, right?
Yeah.
So what I was getting at is that the way people get canceled is because they make apologies and they come out and they fuel, add fuel to the fire. And here's the thing: when you do something like, oh, this person sent a very controversial tweet when they were 12 years old, right? And you're like, yeah, I was an edgy little shitlord back then. Like, I'm not that person anymore. But everybody's losing their shit and calling for you to cancel. The worst thing you could do is say, I'm so sorry. I was insensitive. I was about. You want to know why? Because the people who want your head never liked you in the first place, and nothing you do is going to bring them to your side, and the only people you're going to lose are the people who love you and say, this isn't the guy I like. He made a mistake, but why is he pandering? I don't want to deal with a pussy anymore. And so you end up never net gaining. Always just disappear, get quiet, lean into it if it's funny, or just don't do anything, let somebody else screw up and all the attention. And I'll tell you, and I know I'm on a rant here, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'll tell you why I'm bringing this back to Twitch. Twitch came out and did this, and every single fucking person online said, good for you. I'm still not going, but that's a good thing. Or they should have done this to begin with. And it's never good enough,
No one was
right?
happy, but also it's Twitter. But listen, it's Twitter. Nobody's ever happy on Twitter. But all of the critics that caused them to do this are the same people who are like, good, Twitch, good thing. I'm still not going, but if I was, I'd be happy. Or it wasn't good enough. You should have done this in the beginning. The whole world,
all it did was hurt the people who were going to go anyways.
Here's what I think. You talk about Twitch bending the knee. I think Twitch Twitch understands the people that are going to the convention, asked for more restrictions, and they gave them more restrictions. I think that's probably smart to do on their business. For their business, because the convention is not their core business model. They're a live streaming service. The convention's just like a party. Like it's not like, hey, our entire year is going to be, our P&L is going to be made or broken by this convention. It's just a party. It's just a celebration. In fact, it's like, it's a whole separate division. And that's why you should have stuck to, hey, we're doing a party. Local laws are local laws. If you want to wrap it up extra, go for it. We're all for you, but we're going to go by local laws. That's what they should have done. But at the same time, then they made it about this. But at the same time, what they should have done is exactly what they feel compelled to do. Because I'm just as I always feel like you can't really tell someone what to do. People get to live their life and make their decision. Hey, they're a company. They get to make their own decision. If you want to acquiesce. Absolutely. I even said that. I said, you're a private company. You can do whatever you want. I was just saying that I actually canceled my ticket when they did that. And not because I'm an anti-vaxxer and not because I'm like political stance, but because the whole reason for me to go to TwitchCon is for me to see people and meet them and them recognize me and me recognize them and do that. And if it's just a sea of people wearing fucking masks, that is hard. That is hard. Then my personal reason for going is gone. In fact, my number one reason okay, you hear about these types of parties, these masks. Have you ever heard of a masquerade party? Like everyone shows up to a party in a mask.
I went
and
to
everything.
one that where everybody had sex, but they had to wear masks, but that was it.
Okay, that's a different kind of party. So what I'm talking about is just the mask, not the group sex, not the orgy element.
It wasn't group. It wasn't group.
It was just like everybody paired off.
It was just every pole had to find a hole. That was it.
Got it. Understood. I was not at that party. You're gonna tell us more about that probably in a few moments. In fact, you want to just tell us more about that right now?
I really don't. Keep going.
Okay, so this idea of a masquerade party, I'd never been to one, but in like TwitchCon 2017 or 2018, they had a themed masquerade party on a boat, like the Queen Anne or something like that in Long Beach. I don't know. It was a Twitch party on a boat, and it was a masquerade thing. I went to it, and my takeaway after the fact was, listen, I don't know who I met. I don't know who I talked to. I don't know if I ever see that, if I ever interact with them ever again, I'm going to say, I don't know. Did we even meet each other at that? You're going to say, hey, I think I remember you. I don't know who I met, bro. It was a masquerade party. Everybody had masks on. So, but that was all obviously by choice. It was whatever. It was a themed party. I just remember my takeaway after the fact was, I don't know if I met anybody new, and I don't know if I could say I have any new relationships as a result.
The whole reason I was saying I don't want to go now is because the whole reason for me to go is to meet people, know them, see them, talk to them, everything like that. And I was like, I can't do that now. And so I was like, I'm not going to go. So I told my AM, I said, yeah, I'm not going to go. But then I found out that Twitch wants to give me another meet and greet, this time at the TwitchCon in San Diego, which is a big deal. I still can't believe they want me to, because I you know me, I still think this is all just weird that people even show up and listen to me and talk to me. And then I had that huge humbling moment.
Well, it is weird. I mean, honestly, it is weird, but it's awesome. Like at the same time.
But I wasn't expecting it because, my background, my history, my family all the way back has done a lot of bad shit, and they've never done anything good. And it was just like, I'm doing this, I'm having fun. And I forget that I'm streaming in front of thousands of people. Like in my brain, it's just me hanging out with a bunch of friends every day, bullshitting. That's all it is in my head. Like I don't ever wrap my head around the fact that people show up and pay money to listen to me talk and to be there. Like I still don't get it. And so when I went to TwitchCon
real
Europe,
quick, do you know this? Have you ever heard of the streamer BB Jess? She does like
I'm friends with her. I met her at the Twitch Summit.
She does awesome content, man. Like she's so high energy, like high positivity.
Yeah. I met her at the Twitch Summit. Her boyfriend is actually a really cool guy. I forgot his name. Is Tone E or whatever. I am Tony or whatever. He was the one I met, and she was kind of there. And then I kind of added both of them on Twitch, and then I watched her thing, and I'm like, I love that energy. Like she's
she's awesome. I just saw a clip of her the other day where she's like, I don't know, she somehow said, hey, if you're lurking or something like that, like press a 1 or say hi or something like that. And all of a sudden, all these people that she had never had a chance to speak to, but have been there, like that, they all popped up. And I
stole that from her.
You did?
Yeah. So what I've been doing, and this is full disclosure for my chat that watches this, you'll know why I do it. So over the past 2 weeks, every time we run marbles, I say, hey, listen, let's get in. By the way, if it's your first time here and you want to get rid of your little first time chatter bubble so that me or the mods don't see it or slow and call out, now's the time to do it. Type anything you want. Type exclamation play 69 420 dot, whatever like that. And it gets people engaging. I saw her do it and I stole it from her.
Yeah, no, so you saw the clip. You know what I'm talking about. Like she posted
I saw her doing it on a stream because every now and then I very rarely get on Twitch, but I popped in one night and she was on. And I was like, hey.
Yeah, no, and she did it, and like all of a sudden all these people popped up and she's like, oh my God, it was a real genuine human moment. And that was obviously the reason why everyone loved the clip. And she's an awesome, really likable person and great content creator and great stream. But like in that moment, it was just like, oh my God, all of you people are real. Like you actually are here. So going off what you're talking about, how you're saying like it's crazy that people actually like there's actually people there. Your meet and greet is a lot like that moment.
Real quick, last thing on BB Jess. Got it. Listen, I respect hustle. This woman averages 700 to 800 viewers and has 5,000 subs. I gotta respect the hustle. Number one. Number two,
just a lot of work into her stream, by the way. I
respect the hustle. Yeah. I respect the hustle.
But I mean, but beyond just like posting up at the computer and talking, like her movement.
No, it's a whole production. It's a whole
really well
cameras.
done.
Like I said, I'm not here to simp on her, but she is fucking amazing, and that's why I followed her and I respect it. But back to what I was saying about the meet and greet. I told you about TwitchCon where I went in thinking I'll show up early and stay late just in case one random person wants to meet me. And by the time I got through the expo hall, there was a bunch of people that stopped me and wanted pictures and stuff like this, and I had to take a moment to get humbled. And then when I got a meet and greet and I went behind, I came out and there was people waiting in line to meet me. It was like holy shit. And a lot of people were laughing because they're like, Stocky, you're next to this girl, Luna Lovely or whatever. She's like the biggest whatever player in the world or whatever. And this huge
I'm guessing that you're trying to say Lulu Lovely, biggest Apex, whatever.
I don't watch games. I don't know. She was next to me. She had this long line. And I had like this line that was like the third of her length. But you know what? I never looked at it and be like, oh man, I don't have as many people as my. Do you know what I did? Not only was I just super stoked that anybody wanted to talk to me, I was pumped because that means I got to spend, and I did, not just a hi, here's a picture, bye. It was, what's your name? Talk to me, hear your life. So I got to meet everybody and talk to everybody. And I stayed, and I was the last one out there. I stayed until I met everybody, and then I went in the back. So wrapping this up, I didn't want to go because I'm like, I'm just going to walk in a sea of masks and be a sea of masks. Not that I'm a narcissist and I'm like, oh, I want people to recognize me. It's just, what am I going to do? Like, I don't know I'm not there for sponsors. I'm not a gamer. I'm there to meet my community. And if I can't recognize, or people can't recognize me, it defeats the purpose. But I found a go around, and I will show you when I go to TwitchCon.
You found I don't even know what a go around, like a merry-go-round?
Sure.
Okay. Stocky found it. Everyone come ride Stocky's merry-go-round. He's going to be a carny there. He's actually not showing up at the convention. Stocky's got a new line of work. He's a carny. He's going to be showing up right outside the convention. Maybe
it should be a little bit more empty though, because there won't be as many British people. I think they're like on a required holiday for the next month now.
I want to find a night. I want to find like the best restaurant in that downtown area and go to it. Like I feel like every single time.
Hell no. You need to go to like the sleaziest taco cart, man.
Dude, the tacos, I already know the tacos that I love in San Diego. They're right at the Tin Fish.
You're going to be there, right?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Where are you staying? Are you staying at a hotel or are you staying outside?
I'm staying with Josh and D. So BBXH and someone, Josh, who you just met yesterday in the fantasy football draft, who you were just being an absolute.
Oh, is that BBXH's
husband?
Dude?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, that's that. And I told you, bro. What do you mean you had no idea? I literally said, Josh is Stocky. This is Josh D's husband. You were just not listening.
I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, so that's who you were being, and not an asshole to, but you were really being a lot of yourself too.
I was having fun because it's fantasy football. You're supposed to talk trash,
shit.
Man.
Yeah. No, but that's stuff. So I'm crashing with them where they're staying at a friend's place and I'm staying on a couch at that house. Because so Sarah, Austin, and Kelly, or just Austin and Kelly, are going to go and they're going to stay in a hotel and they're going to do the thing. Like our team's going, but I don't know how many days I can travel right now and feel comfortable away from the Mel and the baby. Like I know it's going to be at least 3.
Have your family come for a couple days.
Yeah, they will. But like I also am the kind of traveler I am, man. I'm just like I like to just decide last minute. That's why I like to fly Southwest. You know what I mean? I like to just decide last minute.
Flights, I'm so fucked, man. These guys, there's no direct flights from Miami or Fort Lauderdale to San Diego.
None? You got to probably go out to Miami International.
Even Miami, they're all of them have at least one layover, and some of the layovers like 12 hours. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Oof. Yeah, you're going to have to, though. Check Southwest. Southwest is always the best. If you guys are flying and you haven't understood the benefits yet of Southwest, it's just so great. Like I was in New York 2 weeks ago. Well, we were doing some Madrina stuff, and I had a flight the next morning at 6 a.m., but it was 4 p.m., and I realized, I actually can get out tonight. There was a flight at 6 p.m., 2 hours from then, and I literally, two clicks on my app, just on the next flight, no charge, no upcharge, no anything, no penalty, $0 dollars. They just said, okay, now you're on this one, and I took an Uber to LaGuardia and was out that night. So that's why I'm saying, obviously I love Josh and D, and I want to hang with them. And they offered this up. So I said, man, you guys not only I get to stay with them, but they also give me the flexibility of being
well, we're going to have to get together at some point because every time I get real, I don't get awkward. I just don't know what to do when I meet with random people because and this will lead into another thing we're going to talk about at streamers, but I like to meet people, but I just don't know how to do it now because a lot of times when people meet me, they look at me as some kind of not celebrity, but some kind of figure, and I just look at it as a dude coming to meet you, and it's this weird. How
about this? Here's my best pro tip for you in these moments. Don't even consider how they are viewing you. Don't even think about it.
Oh, I don't think about how they're viewing me.
You just said that.
You said people are I realize it after because of something we're going to talk about later on. When I go meet people, I just walk up and like, yo, what's up, dude? And they'll be like, Stocky, oh my God, can I get a picture? Yeah, sure, dude. Let's fucking hang out, whatever. And then we just talk, right? But then a lot of times people want me to talk, and I'm always like, I always talk. I want to hear about you. I want to talk about that. But then it's fun. Like I said, I'm still getting used to this, and that's why a lot of people find that they think I'm snobbish or I'm standalone-ish, and I think I'm better than everybody. It's not. I just don't. Streaming is just my job in a fun way. It's not like I'm not trying to get famous or get people's approval or likes or something like that.
Yeah, it's just We just chill out. You just chill out. You get to eat some food. There's a great taco place, man, right across the convention center. Great fish tacos. I love them. They're so good. But like I feel like going
Fish
to city
tacos are a waste of taco. I said it.
fish tacos.
Waste of taco.
You're out of your damn mind. It takes the ceiling on tacos and absolutely blows it through the house and takes it to the sky.
I think shrimp tacos should be made illegal, and I think fish tacos should be, you know, I'm sorry. I just don't find fish, especially burritos, but fish tacos, I don't find it acceptable.
There are,
Okay.
I'm going to show you them in San Diego and you're going to love them. They have shrimp tacos. They got salmon tacos. They got tuna tacos, bro. They got all sorts of.
I had a great Airbnb on Mission Beach. It was literally an apartment where the door is out on the beach. And I took too long because I was canceling my trip because of the mask thing. And then I ended up getting the meet and greet thing. Went back, somebody booked it. So now I have to stay in the city.
Oh, yeah. Are you doing Airbnb?
Yeah, because they gave us a Marriott for like the people that have meet and greets and like certain, I guess, level of whatever. But they were like, oh, we're going to waive the resort fee thing. And I'm like, all right. And then I went to it and it was like, that was included. Plus I'm staying there 3 nights. I'm staying Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, 4 nights. And it was like $1,400. And I was like, I found an Airbnb like half a mile away for $800 total. I'm like, why would I stay at the hotel? I'm not going to party with these guys. I don't know anybody. I don't want any groupies. Not that I would ever have one, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
You talking about that party. Let's go back to that party where it's like every pole needs a hole or whatever.
I was
you're talking
single
about.
and better looking.
We also knew how to play Mario Kart really, really well. So that helped you at a different time. If we're going to talk about anything that's going on in the world, though, obviously the biggest
Long
story.
live the Queen!
Listen, the biggest story of what's going on today.
God save the Queen!
The biggest story of what's going on today, guys, is Queen Elizabeth passed away, 96 years old. It's a big, huge, massive deal. She passed away today, which is September 8th. You guys will probably be listening to this in tomorrow or the next day or whenever. So Britain's Queen Elizabeth II has died at the age of 96, according to the Buckingham Palace. Her death brings to a close a reign that spanned 7 decades and made her the most recognized woman in the world. As monarch, the Queen is automatically granted a publicly funded state funeral. Details for the funeral are expected to be released by the palace soon. Her eldest son, Charles, immediately became king of the UK upon the death of his mother. This is the first time there's been a new monarch in any of our lives.
It's not funny that she died. It's just funny that they're going to have to do a taxpayer-funded, massive, multi-million-dollar thing in the middle of their highest inflation in 40 years and finding out that they might not be able to afford to heat their homes this winter.
That's you laughed. You said it wasn't funny, and then you laughed at the end. So I don't know what to believe.
It's ironic. It's not funny that she died. It's funny that this happened at this time. It's like ironic.
Irony. Got it. That's different than funny, but you still laughed at the end.
But irony can be funny in the fact that it is ironic.
Yeah. Ironic. Yeah. There's
I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to make me some kind of monster, but I'm
like
already
bait
a monster.
You a little bit. You think I'm trying to like bait you a little bit?
No, because I'm not even with you right now. I'm thinking about the conversation that I had on stream and then the conversation we had pre-market about how soft streamers are, or not soft streamers are, but how entitled some streamers are and narcissistic.
Oh,
and
damn.
That leads me to something else. But back to the Queen. Here's my thing. What will you always remember the Queen? From now on, now that she's dead and she moves on, when you think of Queen Elizabeth, what will be the first thing you think of?
Me?
Other than her hat, yeah.
The first thing I think of, I will forever think of, is that she was the mom, or not the mom. How is she related to Princess Diana? Was she the mom?
She was a mother-in-law. She was
Mother-in-law?
Charles's mother. Yeah,
Okay.
she killed Diana. We know that, but go ahead.
Her connection to Princess Diana. That's the only thing I'll ever think of. Me. I mean, listen, I don't know much about the Queen. I don't know. I'm in the U.S. I've been over here my whole life. I don't know much about the Queen. Obviously, the hat's a big deal. You always see her in the hat. But I don't really know what she did other than the fact that she was the Queen. And she was she had a connection to Princess Diana. That's always what I'll remember.
Yeah, and a lot of people look like, oh my God, she killed Diana. For me, other than the fact that it's on all these people's money, I always think of, and it's so weird, I always think of a picture of her being a transportation unit soldier in World War II. Like that's for some reason when I think of Princess Diana, yeah, she was, obviously she didn't see combat, but she was in the military, she did her service, and she was like a transportation or an engineer or mechanic or something. Hold on. Queen Elizabeth, World War II. Yeah, there's the picture right there.
So you're saying she had a connection or she was involved.
Yeah, this picture right here, for some reason, this picture is what I think of. Not her and her hats and not in any of that. I always think of this because I'm a history nut, right? So like I deep dive into history all the time, and I'll just put it in open chat for you.
Okay.
This article right here, you'll see the picture right there.
This is what you think of?
I think of this picture, and I always think of this picture because I was so surprised to find out, because kings and monarchs, they always. What is so funny?
What you don't realize is that I actually just pulled up the picture of the most recent picture you sent me just in our DMs. So it's weird to think about this when you think of Queen Elizabeth, but to each their own, bro.
Is it the gif of the hair flip?
It's definitely the gift of the hair.
You need help. You need help. But yeah, so I was so surprised because, you always know that like princes and Prince Harry and all those guys, they were in the military and stuff like that. But I was doing, I was researching World War II and the Luftwaffe and then Britain being bombed and shit. And then I came across the fact that Queen Elizabeth was in the military during the war. And even though she didn't see combat necessarily, it just blew my mind. And so that picture for me is what always stuck as the iconic thing.
This is crazy, bro. So Queen Elizabeth served in World War II. She was 96, so it's 19. She was born in 1926, about. Unless she was born in 1925.
Well, she was 13 when the war broke out in 1939.
Okay, so she was born in 1925, 1926, something like that, and she served in World War II. This article says a princess at war, Queen Elizabeth II during World War II, and here's a picture of her next to the like a medic vehicle. It says during the Second World War, life changed dramatically for the people of Britain, including the royal family. And obviously, this is a big story.
And if you scroll down, the picture that I'm talking about is not the one of her next to the hospital vehicle. It's the one of her leaning up against the truck.
The one that says Princess Elizabeth as a second subaltern in the ATS.
That's the one that I remembered. Yeah,
leans against the vehicle during training. Imperial War Museum. Wow, dude. Dude, that's so nuts. She served in World War II. Like,
he served in World War II. Like, every World War II vet is like dead. The Queen was in World War II. I always had the belief that she was only staying alive out of spite, and the fact that she was going to stay alive until her son died, and she would die the next day just so he would never become king. But I guess after her husband died and COVID and everything, it was just time to go.
So he's now King Charles, is what that is right?
Yeah, he will be once he's coronated. Yes,
dude. This story, I'm gonna read this. This is awesome. I won't read.
It's cool. It's a cool deep dive. Like, she wasn't a combat person, but it was such a cool little thing to find one day because U.S. we don't learn about British history that way.
Yeah.
And I just said, no, this doesn't mean I think she was cool. I think she was a part of a lot of genocides and a lot of horrible things that happened. But just like every politician. But
if you're listening to this,
was a cool thing.
If you're listening to this on Spotify, the best way you can find this article that Stocky is talking about that we have pulled up here, National World War II Museum.org. Or just Google it. Just Google National World War II Museum, and
just
it's called Queen Elizabeth
World War II. It's the first article.
Yeah, Queen Elizabeth II during World War II. Really cool, bro. As a sidebar, I so badly want to go to the World War II Museum in New Orleans. Like, New Orleans is like an awesome city to go do anything, but God, this would be such a cool thing, cool place to go visit.
War of 1812 Museum, man. You want to know a fun fact about history? Andrew Jackson and the most famous battle of 1812 was when Andrew Jackson defeated the British in New Orleans. Do you know that actually happened after the war ended?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the treaty had been signed, and it took back then you didn't have planes, right? So they had to take a month to travel across, and the treaty had already been signed, and they were on their way back, but nobody knew because there was no way of getting information, right? The only way you got information was waiting a month to hear back. And the battle that he won actually took place after the treaty had already been signed.
So what? They were the word hadn't gotten to him yet or something?
No, of course not, because it takes 30 days minimum to find out anything. So when you send your delegates, it takes 30 days minimum to get over there. Then they have a week of delegations or whatever. Then 30 days back. It takes 2.5 months to hear back. Right now, we send an email or a text and we get pissed when somebody doesn't email us back in 10 minutes.
The Queen died like a few hours ago. You and I are recording a podcast on it. You know what I mean?
We knew about it real time in Twitter. I mean, it was the royal family tweeted out. Like, this is just how it was. So, you would have to wait for these things. And so they didn't know. So they actually got into, they actually had the battle after the war was already over. And speaking of 1812, listen here, you little Canadian shits, okay? I get that you want to be like, oh, don't make us come fucking burn down your White House again. You didn't burn down shit. The British, who owned your ass because you were still a fucking slave colony colony to them in a lot of ways, whatever you want to call it. We'd already kicked their ass out of here. They use your country, which wasn't your country. Remember, you were still occupied. You were a colony. They used you to go through to get to Washington to do it. The British burned down. They just used you as a fucking stepping stone because they owned your ass. You didn't burn shit down, okay? Stop with it. As a matter of fact, don't even get me started on the fucking drunk Irish guys who actually took over your country for a couple hours and held it hostage to get to Britain to get Ireland returned, and then everybody just gave up. Don't get me started on that, okay? I love my Canadians, but don't be stupid. Sorry.
Who said that? Like,
every Canadian, they'll be like, we remember when we burned down your White House? You didn't burn down shit. The British landed, went through Canada, came down and burned it. Like, fuck out of here.
okay. I just wanted to, it sounds like a sore subject for you today.
It's not a sore subject.
I mean, like, who specifically did this to you today?
Because I hear about it all. It's gonna have a lot of Canadian viewers, so I always hear it. That's their one claim to fame, not the fact that they can't afford a home and they're all fleeing from Canada to other countries. But no, they burned down our White House 210 years ago, and it wasn't even them.
Well, sounds like they get their $5 per month subs worth of entertainment out of fucking with you with it. So good on them. They
still have the lowest ratio of subs to viewers of any of the top 1,000 streamers.
Who, you?
Yeah.
Hey man, morning call.
I've never
morning call.
I've
bro.
never once asked for a sub. I've never done a sub goal. I've never told anybody sub or don't know. I never do that, and that's why it's so funny.
Well, does that make you not? That makes you like not a soft streamer then. That makes you like a hard, tough streamer, right?
No, that's not hard and tough. It's that I can't, as a finance streamer. First of all, you can't be talking about doing well with money if you're begging for money or sound like you're begging for money. Number one, and number two, you can't tell people to be smart with their finances if you're telling them to waste money on a fucking streamer.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You just brought up something as
I know where you're
piping
going with
hot
this,
as the Canadian White House take was. You just went off. You
okay.
semi-blacked out on something to do with streamers being soft about 7 minutes ago.
I forgot what I blacked out
6 minutes ago that occurred. So I was just wondering, is that is this the correlation
we
here?
We were talking. See, you're acting that you're doing that shit again, where you rile me up pre-show and then act like, oh, what's this all about? And you know exactly what it is.
I'm doing that thing where that's called ringing the show's worth of content, and now I'm trying to.
We're talking about how streamers or whatever tend to be entitled and think, oh, you should pay me for exposure and not for sales. Not you guys specifically, but this is a problem among younger people and influencers, whatever you want to call them, where it's like, I get you some exposure, so you should pay me for exposure. And it's like, we don't pay our bills in exposure, right? Like, it's great.
I just made the line. I wasn't complaining. I drew the correlation. You had said you got all this. You go, yeah, you gave you all that free publicity wearing that Madrina shirt at TwitchCon Amsterdam. I said, hey man, we'll keep our lights on at our office with that exposure.
I didn't say that because I didn't ask you to pay me for that, did I? Did I ask you to pay me ahead of time or even after? No, so there you go, motherfucker. Stop with your bullshit. When you're gonna get caught. You just got caught in 4K. You just got caught in 4K trying to rile up some shit. You were like a fucking, conspiracy theorist bullshit. I never asked for anything before or after. I just said how awesome was it for you guys that crazy thing that exploded with Jake and Bacon, the Seagull, and everything. I happened to be wearing a Madrina shirt. I was like, that is a lot. I was like, that's like all this free fucking amazing advertising. It's like Peloton with their whole thing, right? And yeah, exactly. That's not a seagull, motherfucker. Okay, seagulls don't bend like that. Okay, that's too much wind. They're gonna be like, listen here, you pelican brief looking motherfucker. Okay, okay, but sorry. Moving on, I digress. The whole conversation was about this, and I said I found out something similar. So I have burned a few bridges with other streamers, and it wasn't intentionally, right? I burned with a streamer who touched my face trying to do something, and I grabbed them and put their arm down and said, don't fucking touch me, as a reaction. I wasn't trying anything. I wasn't prepared for somebody to grab my face. Another streamer I burned a bridge with because they invited me to a big event, and I wasn't like up for any awards, or I wasn't up for anything, and I wasn't like there for whatever. And I was like, I was thinking to myself, I have to take time off stream. I have to come out there. And if I'm not up for anything and there's no thing here, I don't know if this is really good from a business standpoint for me to come. And they got super offended by that, saying, why couldn't you just be grateful we, invited you to attend this event and stuff like that? And I wasn't my intention, right? Like, I was just saying from a business standpoint, this isn't really good for me. And that's why I was asking. I was like, is there a reason you want me to come? Am I just like a seat filler, or is there something like, because from a business standpoint, whatever, that burned that bridge. And then I burned another bridge with somebody with the whole Baggins thing that you know about. So I have been on a mission to try to rectify a couple of these bridges. Not because I want people to like me or because I want to network or anything like that. I just want to clarify situations, right? So at least if you're going to hate me or dislike me, at least dislike me for the right reasons and not the wrong reasons. And that brought up a situation with another streamer, the face thing. And I actually was like, hey, you know what? I think this guy probably still thinks that this went a different way and I want to talk to him. Let me reach out to him on Twitter. DM'd him on Twitter, ghosted. Saw him streaming, went into a stream, said, hey man, could you check your Twitter? Ghosted, right? So I was like, all right, I'm talking about it. People in my chat said that this person said it went differently and that it was said that I was walking around these parties and these events trying to act like a tough guy. And I thought to myself, what does that mean? What does acting like a tough guy mean? And I was thinking to myself, are you mean acting like a tough guy? Like I'm walking up to people and being like, hey, pussy. Hey, shithead. Hey, you little motherfucker. I'm better than you. Oh, you're a pussy. I didn't do any of that. I was like, I don't remember doing any of that. I was like, how did I walk around as a tough guy? And then I realized that a lot of streamers, not all, but a lot of streamers are young people. They are sheltered because they haven't had a lot of life experience, not to shit on anybody, but it's just true. And they probably haven't been in a situation and they're very used to that whole everyone's friendly and everyone's going to kiss my ass because we got to network and be friends so we can be relevant and do all this other stuff. And I then realized that maybe just my personality in those environments makes it seem like I'm trying to be a tough guy. And so I don't know. Maybe I'm just not meant to be in that circle of people, Alex.
Or call me crazy. Just that guy, one guy, no generalizations, no broad strokes, but that one guy just didn't like you that much, and that's okay.
No, this is the second time I heard it.
Well, I mean, either way, I mean, you're talking about small and not everyone likes you, bro. Not everyone.
Oh, a lot of people dislike me, and I'm totally fine
I'm not
with that.
talking about you. I'm saying the royal you. Like you grow up, one of the things you learn in life is not everyone's gonna like you. And actually, the people that end up don't liking you, you can take pride in the fact that you know why they don't like you. And there's parts of your life that you hold true to yourself, values that you hold true to yourself that they don't appreciate, and that kind of ends up being the reason why they don't like you. And you can kind of be like, hey man, not everyone in this world's gonna like me. And when you can take solace in that, that's when you can find peace in yourself.
I'm not losing sleep over this, Alex.
I'm just saying, bro, I
spent the first 25 years of my life trying to make everyone like me. Okay.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about then.
Yes, but at the same time, I also sometimes, and this isn't a constant problem, but sometimes I subconsciously think, do I sometimes overdo it because I'm trying to show people that I don't care that they like me? I was like, nah, that's not me. So then what I started thinking is you're a likable guy, right? Like you're a likable guy. I think you understand that, right? Like you're a likable guy. No, you, Alex, you're a likable guy.
Specifically?
Yeah.
I'll take it. Thank you.
No,
I appreciate that.
You would be considered what I would put in as a likable guy. Like it's hard to dislike you outside of like a specific opinion that you have that I disagree with, and there's like a big rift because there's an issue, or because like you fucked my girl or something. Like other than that, I feel like you are not like an NPC in the world, but like you're a likable guy, right? Like there's not much about you to just initially dislike. Me, on the other hand, I have a big personality. I'm very direct. I'm very brash, abrasive sometimes, but I'm just very, the way I am. And for some people, a lot of people, they think, okay, that's too much for me, or this guy is over the top, or this guy's an asshole, or this guy's a dick, or this guy's trying to show off. And it's not. And I don't lose sleep over it anymore. I don't go, oh my God, that person didn't like me. I'm like, I'd rather have one friend that likes me for me than have 5 or 10 that like me because I'm trying to be something else. So I'm not losing sleep over this. But then I realized that it's not that streamers are soft, but in these environments, they're not used to an older person who's seen shit and been through shit and doesn't cut through bullshit. And so it can put that off. And so I realized that maybe these streamer events aren't really my wheelhouse.
I think, bro, listen, I know you pretty well. I think you just like to make people laugh. I think you like to make people laugh, and you have a very specific style of humor and sense of humor. Sometimes jokes land, sometimes they don't land. That's totally
Sometimes they don't land.
That's totally fine. But what I know about you is you like to make people laugh, bro. That's it. And if someone's around you for a very small sample size of time, a few minutes, and it happens to be a joke that wasn't your best or didn't land, and like whatever, and then their opinion is, man, fuck that guy, man, fuck that stock guy. Like
fine, man. You know what? It doesn't matter. There's tens of thousands of people every day that enjoy it. So it's not like one or two people are, there's 7 billion people in the world. If 7.999 billion hate you and 10,000 like you for you, I think you're winning.
That's what I mean, man. Like that's I mean, small sample size. They might have heard something you said. Like you said, whatever. You said I'm a likable guy. There's I know plenty of people that don't like me, but perhaps in that moment you heard me say, yeah. Well, you said like, hey, like, oh, maybe I had an opinion that you disagree with or whatever. Well, maybe there's jokes that reflect opinions that, while it is it's an attempt to just making the people around you laugh. Like maybe they're like, hey, well, fuck that guy a little bit. Like
there's a lot of people who don't like honesty, direct honesty. They always say, oh, I love when people are direct with me. Yeah, unless it's about you, right?
Yeah.
And there's also people who meet me and I have a very big, I'm like, a lot of people think that because you felt my handshake. I have a not naturally, but maybe it's the military, maybe it's whatever. I have a very firm handshake and I don't realize it.
Did we shake hands? I don't think we shook hands.
We've probably never shook hands, but I shake hands and I don't
we did
think it's not subconscious.
We did like the bro hug, like the boom, and then you know what I mean? Like a little bro
But when
hug.
I do shake hands, people are always like, oh my God, it's such a strong handshake. Why are you? And they think I'm trying to put on a show. It's not me. But this podcast isn't about me and anything like that. I just thought it was a funny interaction we had. And so I've been on this journey to not build bridges I burnt and not try to network and fake it, but at least give people the right reasons to hate me and not the wrong. And it's still failing. So that's where we went with that. But speaking of NPCs, and I know
you brought up the NPC thing, and I'm just gonna listen. You fuck a smooth transition into this, guys. Stocky sent me this article, okay? And I don't even know what to make. I don't know what to do with this, okay? So let's talk this out. So Stocky sends this article from decrypt.co. And let me pull it up on the screen here so everyone can see it. It says, NFT game consultant says poor people could be NPCs. And it sounds like being a host in Westworld. Hold on, let me close the ad to try to get me to sign up or whatever with the website. It says, it sounds like being a host in Westworld, but less fun. Do you want me to read this? What do we do with it? What are we doing with people? Poor people could be NPCs.
People already are NPCs around the world. What's funny is, let's talk about this real quick.
The hottest take. Okay. You've had a lot of takes. Many takes.
Let's
You're
be
live
honest.
Hours a month. That's your hottest take. Says people, think about what you just said. People are non-people controlled already. So that's a hot take.
You ever been to Disney World, Alex?
That's the
sheeple
theory.
There are people that are literally paid to be NPCs.
Like you mean like literally, I don't know about literally, but you mean figuratively.
Well, no, that's what they're saying. They're saying that rich people, poor people who need money and need stuff can be hired by rich people to be NPCs in their world. You can go up and say, I want to experience, I don't know, what it's like to be famous. You go and you hire a bunch of fucking homeless people, give them $20 and tell them, okay, when this guy walks up, everybody jump up and cheer and act like you're taking pictures and you want to autograph. You want to experience what it's like to be in the 1950s or whatever like that. You can pay poor people to dress up like this and walk past you and stop certain places or be certain things. You can recreate experiences from your life that you can't do again by hiring poor people. They're saying that this is a potential income source for poor people to be hired by rich people as NPCs.
So you can't be a person and be a non-person character. That non-play. You know what I mean? Like
non-playable character. In other words, you are paid to do what you're told and not have a life on your own, or you're paid to do a specific job as like a background person, right?
Isn't that all the time already? Work is you go to work and you're getting paid because your boss says do this.
You're being paid for a service. You're being paid as an NPC, right? Like what's an NPC in a game, right?
An NPC is someone that's not controlled by a person.
No, but it's already pre-programmed on what it's supposed to do. The player is not pre-programmed. The player has free will and free roam. The NPC is pre-programmed by the developers, right? They're either just walking about or they have.
But the pre-programming isn't the definition of an NPC. The only reason why it's called an NPC is because it's a non-playable character. That's
exactly. In other words, that character is has a specific role that's outside of your control of the storyline, right? Like you can move an NPC in the game, right? You have a choice of what the NPC is going to do, but the NPC is already in the game. It has a job. It's designed to do something. You're the one who gets to make decisions and make changes, right? That's basically what they're saying is they're saying, okay, we're going to pay poor people to do a specific role, like program them in as you do your free will. They already have their own thing that they're doing that's part of the storyline, right? It's part of the storyline. And it's going to be part of the storyline, and you're paying them to do that. I'm not saying this is a good or bad thing. I'm just saying it's already fucking happening.
Before
you ever hire a clown for a party or some shit, you know?
But even then, that's a person. It's a playable character. That person's playing the character of clown.
But no, they're paid to do a specific thing.
But that person is playing the character of clown. Like perhaps
they're playing. You are not playing. You are first person, right? Okay, they are not. They are doing something else. You are playing you. They are their background. They're set up for that.
To them,
why are we arguing the semantics of what a fucking NPC
Perhaps this is a boring take on it, but like I have an issue with saying that it's non-playable because that person's playing their life still. It's you know what they're playing? The first person clown game. That's what they're playing. They put the clown suit on and they walk around and they have to make sure the person that hired them as a clown is happy.
Okay, the actual definition of an NPC as far as gaming, right, is a non-playable character. It is a character in a game that is not controlled by someone playing the game. That is the definition of an NPC, right?
And the human that plays the clown is in control of their life, and they chose to play the clown for that employer.
But the individual, the person, the person with the controller, right, the main character is not playing their character, is not controlling them, right, in the middle of this of the game, right? Like they have a specific function that is there no matter what, right? No matter what. And there are certain outcomes that can happen based on what you choose to do, but otherwise they have a specific function that they take, and they don't have like a quote unquote free will. They can't just put down the stuff and do something else, or they can't just change up. They have to follow the storyline. They have to do this in the background. It's part of the overall story that you are controlling and navigating through. And so the idea for paying poor people to do this, I mean, you ever see, I mean, it happens all the time. You get flash mobs, you get fucking, you go to a Disney World. They literally have people and characters that just walk around and that don't even interact with people, that just do things, right? That are just there as a character, like a parade, right? The parade that goes by, that's NPCs, right? They're paid to do the same thing over and over again. No deviation, no changing. They don't have free will. They have to do what they have to do. We're all NPCs
when Henry Ford created the assembly line and everyone showed up to work, you're paid to just do that. Like, hey, let's send it there. Build the car, you know what I mean?
So when you're at work, you're an NPC. There you go. Welcome to the real world.
But that also doesn't make any sense. And maybe this is this is a boring take. Perhaps it's a boring take. That just the definition of NPC I disagree with, because I think the larger story here is that this NFT game
paying for an NPC.
That's a person. They're controlling their life, man. That's a playable character. They can do whatever the hell they want. They choose whatever.
They're being paid.
So they choose to accept it.
Depends on how much you're paying, what you can do, too.
So I think the big story here is that there's an NFT game consultant that says that poor people could be NPCs. I want to take a different sort of position on this. Why can't it be? Why does the headline have to read the way it does? Why can't it say NFT game consultant says people could be NPCs? Why does it have to say poor people?
Because they're saying that this could be a new this is just dystopian. This is like a fucking dystopian movie where rich people control poor people and they do whatever. We've seen this before. But basically what they're saying is that, you know, a poor person doesn't have a job, doesn't have anything to do, and they're just not doing anything, right? They can't find a job, or they can't, you know, they need money or whatever. And in this case, it's like almost Island of Dr. Moreau. That's flashback kind of shit, right? Where it's like, okay, here's a job. We're going to be an agency who's going to get a bunch of poor people and say, hey, listen, do you want to be a background character, right? Like, think about a movie set, right? Think about all the extras in the background.
Okay. You're saying those are like NPCs?
Those are like real world NPCs, right? Those, like, for the movie, as the person who's watching the movie, I'm like putting myself in the character, right? The main character. I'm like following them, and I feel like I'm part of this story, and I'm doing that. These people walking in the background, that I don't even notice that they're there. They just have a job to fill space or be part of it. These are NPCs. These are movie NPCs, right? And it's just kind of like and that's what they're saying, that these people can be just NPCs, and they could pay poor people and give them a job.
Here's if this was a legit thing, if they were like, hey, here's an employment opportunity and value proposition for potential new hires, they would not have this story wouldn't be painted the way it is. It would say NFT game consultant says people could be NPCs if this was some actual legit thing. What this is begging for PR. This is some NFT game company begging for PR, making some outlandish claims, saying something about poor people, and knowing that if you come out and say anything about poor people, it's not going to be received well. No one's going to.
No. But you're talking about in the real world. They're talking about putting these people as characters in your virtual world as NPCs.
It says in real life. Let me read the article. I got to dive out. Let me get a little more.
No, these are real life people that are being paid to do something as an NPC character in your virtual game, right? So you're paying them to be a fisherman in your game, right? Like you can put them there. I guess you could walk up and talk to them if you want to or whatever. But you're populating rather than AI controlled. You're allowing human beings to be that person.
Didn't it say in real life? Hold on, let me read this. So it says players in developing countries could work as NPCs in wealthier players' worlds, according to one game consultant. With the cheap labor of a developing country, you could use the people in the Philippines as NPCs, real-life NPCs in your game. Real-life NPCs. So I guess I was reading it different. So this means...
Oh, you thought that people were just going to hire people in the streets to walk around and do something.
Yeah, when it says real life, I was thinking real life.
No, real life people to play NPCs in your virtual world. Think of the metaverse.
That's a completely different thing. Then I just read it.
That's why I've been yelling at you.
Yeah, that's dude. I probably sound like an idiot now because I was thinking real life NPCs meant NPCs in your real life, but that means real life NPCs. And now here's where it explicitly says in your game. So then it's like you're playing Skyrim, bro. It's like you're playing Skyrim, and everybody that you're walking around is an actual person. So it says with the cheap labor of a developing country, you could use the people in the Philippines as NPCs, real life NPCs in your game. Says Makai Kosar, who is a chartered accountant and member of Wolves DAO. Kosar told Rest of World that players in developing countries could just populate the world, maybe do a random job or just walk back and forth, fishing, telling stories, a shopkeeper, anything is really possible. According to Wolves DAO's membership application form, its mission is to equip the blockchain gaming sector with key insights, education, and tools to build the games and communities of tomorrow. The future community apparently could be a dystopian one. It says some find the idea of making real-life people across the globe role play as automaton-like NPCs is dehumanizing. So just some games. Like I said, it's like just walking around Skyrim, and all the people you walk around are just actually controlled by a player. So it's like an MMO.
They're actually a person. So that's why I said it's like a dystopian future where you have this big warehouse with all these computers or these seats, and all these homeless people come in there and they sit in there and they're downloaded into your game, and you're rich and you can afford this and they can be there. And then you can either have them in there, and instead of being AI controlled, it's actual human. So you feel like, holy shit, this is more real for me because it's an actual person behind this. And potentially you can be an NPC character and walk up to them and talk to them and do whatever you want. Maybe they have a script they're supposed to read if you do walk up to them, and if you don't say anything. I don't know.
So this says the potential for sentience and the ethics of exploiting NPCs as disposable beings has been a staple of science fiction, recently explored in HBO's Westworld or last year's Ryan Reynolds-led Hollywood action comedy Free Guy. Can we talk about Westworld for a second? Have you seen Westworld?
Never seen an episode of Westworld.
So Westworld, you don't need to see an episode to know what I'm talking about. Westworld is an entire show based on these robot characters that serve actual humans, and they're supposed to be so lifelike. Basically, yeah, like, but you're not supposed to be able to discern who's a robot and who's a human. And it is a robot show that literally has no robots in it. And I stopped watching after the first season. I said, all this is just a bunch of humans. This is just humans. There's no robot anywhere. There's no robots in this show, but it's a show about robots. It's just a bunch of humans, bro. So as far as
that's just like a show, what was it? Or the movie with Bruce Willis, Surrogates.
I haven't seen Surrogates.
Okay, well, whatever. But yeah, I mean, whatever. But I mean, it's this idea that we're gonna have this. Like, people are moving to a more, online virtual world now. That's why Facebook was trying to get ahead of it, even though they're Meta, whatever the fuck they're called now. But no, it's not going to happen. We're going to have there's going to be a fight down the line of, I want to be a person to person, I want to be in a virtual world, and then the next generation will have to decide what they like. we're eventually everybody's getting fatter, everybody's getting, more lonely and separate. I mean, it's just moving into it. I mean, you're already seeing in Japan and other places where they're fucking marrying characters, and they had to appoint a minister of loneliness. We've already talked about that.
Oof.
Like, it's fucking sad. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. And that's why even sites like Twitch are blow up, because people want to have this connection, but they don't know how to do it. They don't realize how to do it. They don't want to go out. They don't know how to go out. They don't feel comfortable going out. They want to, like my community, right? How many people in my community, like 50% or more, have never traded a stock in their life? They may have learned about investing or money. A lot of them are just there because it's awesome. They get up, they do their job, work from home, they're at job, and they go in there and they're part of a community, right? And they feel like they're hanging out with friends every day, just like I said, right? Like, I feel like I'm hanging out with friends every day, and I don't have to wear pants that day. You know what I mean? So it's just a different world that we're moving into.
So, crazy, weird, whatever idea here. It sounds to me just like an MMO, but we talked about this last week with Sam on the podcast that never was because of the corrupted file. But the desocialization or really the dehumanization of so many of our services because people are forgetting how to socialize. To me, what you looking for?
Oh, I heard thunder outside, so I just planted some new grass. So
the choice that you make when you get an Uber and it says, do you want to talk? Do you want your driver to be someone that talks to you, someone that doesn't talk to you, whatever? And then you have to say it. Let's say you're the type of person that wants to get in an Uber and just have it be a quiet ride. Like, you can't get in the Uber. It's no longer on you to get in the Uber and tell the guy, hey, I've had a crazy long day. I've had a crazy long day. I love it, just a moment, just to myself, if you don't mind. Like, and then the Uber driver's like, yeah, no, that's totally cool.
Just as much as people are afraid of interaction, they're afraid of being seen as rude or mean. And that's why another reason, back to what I was saying about people don't get with me, is that I'm very blunt. Like, if I don't want to talk to you, I just play up, say, hey man, I don't really want to talk, or like, I'm very blunt.
That requires a human moment with another human. This whole Uber thing, where
it's
they're
not just human moment, it's also uncomfortable. Like, as we've gotten on, do you know how many people I have to yell out at my screen to tell them your fucking fantasy world you live in, where everybody is accepting everybody and everybody is sweet and nice and everybody should accept this and do that and we should be, that's not how the real world works. And if you're in my stream right now telling me that I'm toxic because I told somebody something that was just blunt to their face, you're either trolling or you're not ready for the real world, because the real world is not the online world, right? If it was the online world, then Ron Paul was president in 2012 and Bernie Sanders was president in 2016, according to online. According to online, you shouldn't do this, that, or that, like, because that's who we are. But when you get out into the real world, that's not how it works. And people have gotten to the point where they're actually scared of the real world. They're scared of actual
talking to another person, talking to another person,
or talking to somebody who's not in their little echo chamber online. Right?
Fine.
Like, they can just turn it off.
It comes down to me, that moment like that. I just was it again, like, and I've seen it before, but it had been a few months since my last Uber ride. So I took it was in New York, did the Uber, and I was like, and it asked me, it says, do you want the, yeah, I'm like, bro, if I want a quiet ride, that's on me to get in and say it.
Yeah, but what they're doing is they're trying to get more introverted people to do it, and instead of them people having to pretend like they're doing something or put in their music and feeling uncomfortable or saying, like, I don't want to tell them no, but I want to tell them no, but to
interact with a human, then, bro.
That's the thing. It's kind of like, okay, how about this? How about when Uber said, do you want them to leave it at the door or knock at the door, right? So I tell them, don't knock at the door, leave it. I have a baby asleep or whatever. That way I don't have to. That makes
all the sense in the world. Listen, that makes all the sense in the world. I get that.
It's simple. This is what I want, and I don't want to tell people. I'm paying for a service. I want it this certain way, and that's it, right? Like, when you go for a special massage, you can tell them, listen, I don't want a finger in my butt. Okay, just do the shaft. That's it, right? But do you want to tell them that as they're rubbing your butthole? No,
it's not about do you want to or not.
You can be there. You don't want to make it uncomfortable.
It's not about do you want to or not, but you gotta develop the social ability to say to another human how you're feeling.
You're thinking like a rational human being. You're not thinking like somebody whose entire world has been sculpted by a single person that they listen to online, or a certain type of, thread that they're in all the time. And that's how it is. Their worlds are shaped. When I talked today, I talked about this. You want to know? I had a take that I knew was going to piss people off, but I said I'm going to do it anyways. And I looked and I put my camera straight on. I looked right at my camera and I said, I'm fucking happy we have billionaires. Now, the moment I say something like that, people lose their fucking mind. But do you want to know where they really lost their mind before that? Was when I said something else. And this is how you know that people live in an online echo chamber that they don't want to break out of. I said, I'm all for changing the tax code, especially not so much maybe raising taxes, but stopping the loopholes of allowing wealth to move offshore and to be hidden and stuff like that, right? But I said, let me tell you a little fact, a little truth, okay? And this isn't an opinion, this is the truth. Even if you tax the 0.1%, 90% of their income and took 50% of their assets, you can't take all their assets away because then you collapse all the corporations. But let's say you take away 50% of their assets and you tax them 90% of the income. That's $20 trillion. That's a lot of money. Do you know the U.S.'s unfunded liabilities is 171 trillion? Oh, sorry, 171. Which one by? Oh, sorry, another million. Oh, another million. Oh, another million. Oh, another million. Okay, so here's the thing. That's not including household debt of home mortgages, student loans, credit card debt, payments for your car. That's not even including that. $171 trillion in unfunded liabilities. If you tax the 0.1%, 90% of their income and take 50% of their assets, you take 25% of that away. And within the end of the year, it's right back where it was. And now you have no money to take, right? I'm all for it. But you also have to understand that that's where we're at. So yes, I'm not saying.
So why are you happy that we have billionaires? Like listen, I'm not a guy that's anti-billionaire, but I'm also not like pro-billionaire. I'm just like, whatever. They have money.
Pro-billionaire. You see, this is why once again, I'm not saying that you're.
No. You said I love that we have billionaires.
You are automatically taking it. Maybe not you, but they were automatically taking it. Before I get back to that, let me go back to the tax thing. I said this, and they lost their mind. They're like, "That's not true. You could, if you tax them, you could pay for all these social programs." Like, no, you can't. Our Social Security, just our Social Security unfunded liabilities is 22 trillion. That's even more. Now you still got everything else. I'm not saying we shouldn't fix it, but I'm saying that's not the answer. You got to fix the problem before you go. Just like the student loans, right? $10,000 for all the people. That's great, but it's not going to fix the rest of them.
Yeah, I just feel like it's a different conversation. I feel like it's. Okay, I get what you're saying.
With billionaires, you should watch my stream, but I'll TLDR for you because there are billionaires. And because there are super wealthy people, and once again, this is not talking about the tax code and how much money they're hoarding. I'm not pro wealth hoarding. I'm not pro people buying $250 million yachts for vacation. That's what I'm talking about. But I'm happy we have these people because a couple things. Number one, they got there because of innovation. Number two, even though 90% of people, 99.9999% of people will never reach 10 million net worth or more, it gives them this dream that they will, which drives them and incentivizes them to create because of money and because of greed. And because of that, everyone else is lifted up. And I'll tell you why, right? We've always had rich and poor people, but the gap between a king and a peasant 500 years ago is a lot further than a billionaire and a minimum wage worker now. A minimum wage worker right now, while they're struggling to get by and stuff like that, still has air conditioning, heating, toilet, plumbing. They have a bed to sleep in. They have shelter. They have a car. They have an iPhone. They have a TV. They have all these things, right? They're struggling, but guess what? Struggling now versus struggling then. Back then, you lived to 30. Your teeth were grinded down until your enamel was showing because your bread was so bad. You had worms. You had ticks. You had diseases. You got
I get what you're saying. So the innovations.
Why did we have
innovations that were incentivized
what drove that innovation?
Incentives.
And what incentivizes people?
Money, bro.
And what happens when you have people who have made it? That incentivizes more people. And those people only made it because they pushed. I was just watching the other day, and we're gonna wrap up here in a second. We'll get everyone up on out of here. We got a Bills-Rams game tonight that everyone's got to go watch. But when we got back from the hospital and Ozzy was just born and he was like 4 days old, and when Mel was resting, I would sit on the couch and I'd have him on my chest and he'd be asleep, and I would watch Men That Built America. I've seen it before years ago, but I rewatched Men That Built America. Have you seen that the miniseries on no,
History
but I'm
Channel?
familiar with most of the people that are probably in that series.
Great miniseries, great storytelling, great production. But at the end, Rockefeller, gets brought up in the Supreme Court, and they're trying to basically develop the first real sort of antitrust case in America. Like entrepreneurs. The Industrial Revolution happened. All of a sudden, all these people started creating this new world and funding this world across the entire globe. But all of the wealth was consolidated, and they were doing it in a lot of ways that you can't do now. But like they did it then, and it was the first time. So the Supreme Court trying to determine, hey, Rockefeller, Mr. Entrepreneur that's worth $400 billion in today's money, or $500 billion or whatever in today's money. like, hey, let's look at what you did. And then they examine everything and all of his, you know, what we would determine predatory practices. Now he would say, don't you think that this was the wrong way to do this? And his response back was, I would argue that this is the only way it could have been done. So I'm not here to say.
I disagree. I think that there's a lot of things that could be fixed. But the problem is not so much where you're getting your tax money and where these things from. The problem lies in why are we in so much debt? How do we fix that? And then you work for the problems after that. But focusing on these billionaires is very good for billionaires and for the predatory people and governments. Why? Because if you want to not allow change to happen, you divide a population, because when they are fighting amongst each other, they will never get together to fix the problem. And you got to give them an enemy, whether it's rich people and poor people, whether it's black people and white people.
That's why you don't vilify people, bro. That's why you just don't vilify.
That's the thing, though. We vilify these billionaires because they have all this wealth. Now, I'm not saying that they're
just
good.
Don't give a shit
I'm not
about
saying
them,
that
bro.
it's great.
It's like,
I'm just
whatever.
Saying that
Like
the fact that because remember, a lot of people are like, well, we shouldn't have billionaires. Well, we only have billionaires because of inflation. The same billionaires today were millionaires 100 years ago, right? But the thing is let me tell you something. You know, it sucks that there's a wealth gap like that, and it sucks that people are hoarding, and we really should do something about that. But that's not where you're going to get the problem. If anything, attacking that problem first doesn't help the other one and exacerbates the other problem. You got to get your spending down. You got to get your debt down. And then you say, okay, how else do we do this, right? Like, for example, when I talk to somebody on the left, right, they get really pissed off when I talk about taxation. You want to know how to piss somebody off on the right? Tell them you want to fix the problems in America. You want to have more money, right? Cut military spending. They lose their fucking minds. But just like the people on the left who don't understand except what they were just fed by their favorite, you know, because 90% of, let's be honest, 90% of the mainstream media has a left-leaning, bias at some point. So it's very easy to vilify the right, even though the right does a lot of crazy shit. But the left does a lot of crazy shit too, and they just don't get called on it because they control it. And on top of that, they make a lot of promises to get votes that end up hurting people. Look at California, right? A month ago, 3 weeks ago, the panel said, "All right, we are going to make combustible engines illegal to purchase in California by 2035. That means we have 13 years to build a grid that everyone has to have electric vehicles." Guess what? Today or yesterday, the state came out and said, hey, I know only like 5% of our population drives EVs, but don't charge your vehicle because our infrastructure can't handle it. We're about to have rolling blackouts. Like, this is,
I actually saw pictures on Twitter of people that were using gas powered generators to charge their electric vehicle.
Another podcast, another time. But I forgot where my rant was going with this. What was it? Where did I start with this?
It's all about billionaires. You were kind of talking about the microeconomy, savings, and debt.
We got it. Like, for example, and so on the right, when I say military spending, they lose their mind. You hate America. We need this. No, because they're so stupid. A lot of these people are so stupid. I should say ignorant, not stupid. Ignorant is a lack of knowledge, and the lack of knowledge because they don't have it is that military spending is not defense spending. It's two different things. Defense spending is one thing. Military spending is another. You know, we have 900 military bases in 190 countries right now that cost us over $1 trillion a year. But we don't talk about that because on the right, we lump that in with military spending, right? Or defense spending. We always do this stuff as a government, and we give each other people to attack. I'm not defending billionaires. I think that, you know, there should be a cap on the amount of wealth you can have before you have to do something about it, right? Or at least that you have to give a fair share back and you should cut the loopholes. But once we get rid of super rich people, then you lose that incentive and you stop innovation. And you know what? It sucks, and I've been poor, but you know what? Being poor today versus, you know, I'll give you last little thing, and I know this is the worst thing. It's a bad comparison, but do you want to know something? The difference between somebody who's making $70,000 a year now and Vanderbilt 120 years ago? Vanderbilt's son died because they didn't have antibiotics. He got sick and died. It didn't matter how much goddamn money that man had. Got sick and died.
So
but today,
your
I can go down to the Walmart pharmacy and I can get penicillin or antibiotics for $18.99.
And listen, we live in a world where there's a lot of fucked up things still in our world, and a lot of things that can be better, a lot of things that are broken that can be fixed. But we also, what you're saying is, we live in a world where there's a lot of good, bro. There's a lot of fucking good in this world still, and you're measuring the middle class, the quality of life of the middle class is better.
No, I'm talking about the quality of the bottom 1%.
If you're making $70,000 a year in some cities, that's middle class. I mean,
okay, but I'm talking about people that are making minimum wage. Your life is so much better because we have these people and we have this stuff. And I'm not defending what their practices. I'm not defending what they do with their money and anything like that. I'm saying that the government should get behind it, but why would the government do this when these people are the ones who fund their elections? But every single person, all the way down to the poorest person, is better off because we have billionaires and super rich people. That's just a fact. I'm sorry. That's not even an opinion. If you were to wipe out wealth,
billionaires are the byproduct of innovation. That's your theory. Billionaires are the byproduct.
The only reason they're billionaires instead of millionaires is because of innovation. I mean, because of inflation. But they are the reason that we have innovation, and they're not just them. They lead to drive other people who want to strive for that.
Competition.
And they say, if I want to get competition, if I want to get rich. One guy tried to one-guy me in chat today, and he goes, "Stocky, that's not true. The reason for innovation is because of curiosity." I said, "You're a fucking idiot." Curiosity leads you to find out why you want to do it, but to blow it up and to distribute it and to make it to where everybody else and produce and mass produce it, that's because of greed or because of that,
Curiosity fuels personal growth, but it doesn't fuel the economy. I mean, you stay curious.
Thomas Crapper or whatever the hell his name is a perfect example.
Thank you everybody for being here today for Stock Guy and Alex Show, episode 34. Covered a lot of ground. I'm so glad we were able to finally get an episode out. It's been a few weeks and we've had a couple roadblocks, some scheduling mishaps, some technical mishaps.
Okay, just get this shit out tomorrow. Put the Queen's dead in the thumbnail, and Stocky defends billionaires. Boom, clicks everywhere. I look forward to hate comments.
This was episode 34 of the Stock Guy and Alex Show, the show covering topics around this world, business news, markets, money, and sports. When people talk about Stocky and I talk about it, this show can be watched, listened, and viewed on YouTube and Spotify. Guys, go follow the show on all of the socials, guys. And Stocky, any last words before we talk to him next week?
Yeah, the fantasy football league we're in. What the hell does a defensive player get points for?
Sacks, tackles for losses, solo tackles, assisted tackles, and passes defended.
Fuck, then why did I take a defensive tackle? God damn it.
There's a free agency. Go get a corner that you want.
Yeah, but my guy plays tonight.
Who is it?
Aaron Donald.
Oh, have a blast watching Aaron Donald tonight, bro. You got an IDP out on the...
I hate that son of a bitch. I think he's a piece of shit, and I think he should be fucking fined and suspended from the league.
He was drafted in 2014.
That motherfucker swung a helmet at somebody.
He was drafted in 2014 to the St. Louis Rams. Let's go, St. Louis Rams. Screw the LA Rams. St. Louis Rams. Long live the show, the greatest show on turf. Guys, see you next week. One love, everybody. Bye, bye, bye.
Hey, real quick, before we go. What's your bold prediction for week 1?
That my 14 parlay is going to hit on Sunday.
Mine is that Jalen Hurts gets injured for the year and Gardner Minshew leads the Eagles to the playoffs.
Woo! All right, you want my bold take for
That's
actual
whole season? I should have said season 1.
Okay, for the season, it's that the Raiders are going to win the Super Bowl. I got the Raiders winning the Super Bowl. Big. Las Vegas.
If I had to take a YOLO, I would say Dolphins make it to the second round of the playoffs.
I actually am with you on that. I think the Dolphins are going to be good this year. I like the weapons on offense, and I think Tua is going to be healthy for the first time since his sophomore year of college.
Minshew, go. I can't help but love former Jaguar fucking construction worker quarterbacks, man. I have to root for Bortles and Minshew.
Yeah, Minshew's your type of guy. Real journeyman type. Everyone, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.